Hello, my name is Nicole O'Connell, and I am a registered nurse working in the post-anesthesia recovery unit at Arnott Ogden Medical Center. I am currently pursuing my Master's of Science in Nursing at SUNY Upstate Medical University to become a future family nurse practitioner. The goal of this video is to highlight a credible online resource pertaining to a chronic illness. This resource can be utilized by healthcare professionals to educate and support patients, families, and caregivers impacted by the selected chronic illness. I selected a chronic illness that has impacted my own personal family, and that is Alzheimer's disease and related dementias. In addition to this cause being near and dear to my heart, according to the National Institute on Aging in 2021, and I quote, "Estimates vary, but experts suggest that more than 6 million Americans, most of them aged 65 or older, may have dementia caused by Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's disease is currently ranked as the sixth leading cause of death in the United States, but recent estimates indicate the disorder may rank third." End of quote. This shows the magnitude of individuals affected, and it is important as a healthcare provider to give education and resources that are going to help aid others who live with and manage chronic illnesses, like patients with Alzheimer's, their families, caregivers, and/or primary support systems. The source I chose to highlight in this video is alzheimers.gov. The domain suffix itself gives the user some clues about where and who contributes to this website. In the bottom right-hand corner you can see this is a federal government website managed by the National Institute on Aging, National Institutes of Health, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. There are also links above where users can click on these to gain more information from these credible sites and to understand better where information that is on this website is coming from. The credibility of this resource was assessed as well using the Source Educational Evaluation rubric, aka the SEER model from Turnitin.com. As seen here, the scale of this model goes from 0, discreditable, to 4, highly credible. You can see individual scores were ranked for authoritative, educational value, intent, originality, and quality. The overall score of 3.8 in the SEER assessment verifies that alzheimers.gov is a credible source that would be good for healthcare professionals to use in their patient education, especially those with Alzheimer's who are the main focus of this presentation. I'd like to go through this website to show some of the features that would aid families, patients, and healthcare professionals. First, I believe it's really important to recognize that this can also be accessed in Spanish for non-English speaking or non-primary English speaking users. Down below, because this is a federal government website, by law, there are accessibility rules and non-discrimination notices. This means that people with hearing disorders, people who are blind, or people with learning disabilities, etc., could message the website and be able to get into contact with someone who would legally be bound to provide education materials that meet the user's learning needs, such as Braille, audio-visual tools, or alternative language. The main section I'd like to focus on for this presentation is life with dementia. I will be sure to go through the other subcategories describing what is Alzheimer's and related dementias, taking action, finding clinical trials, and information for professionals. On this main page you can see life with dementia and the subcategories listed above, as well as in graphic representations below. Throughout the website there are multimedia services such as videos, infographics, and other news articles, as well as downloadable PDFs that help tailor the education format to the user and their preferred learning style. So I will go with Life with Dementia. When you click on the subcategories, it takes you into these main pages with more information. And one of the great aspects about this resource is that there are tips for people living with the chronic illness. There are tips for their caregivers, families. There are sources that help people to try and find local services, support systems in their community. So clicking into this, types of help, who can help, where can I find help, paying for care, and more resources. Unfortunately, we cannot assume that every family and every patient affected by these chronic illnesses has the financial, emotional, physical capabilities to deal with these chronic illnesses or to assist their family members. Trying to understand what are their choices, who can help them on top of the healthcare provider. And all of these are great. Right here you can see all of these blue underlined forms of text. You can click into there and it will take you to other sites that are able to assist with further resources. Paying for care. Chronic illnesses can be expensive. The cost and the financial burdens on families are important to address. So trying to find services that are going to help these patients and their families is very important. When first diagnosed with Alzheimer's or related dementias, it's important to help the individual, this patient and their families, understand that life is not over, but life can possibly be drastically altered and life will be impacted living with a chronic illness. How can we make these patients feel best prepared? How can we give this patient the resources to increase autonomy and provide information that will help them be able to take control of their healthcare planning? And this goes all through the stages, including some of the tough decisions that, especially when the memory loss and further signs and symptoms of Alzheimer's and related dementias occur, some decisions will not be able to be made. Consent will not be able to be given at a certain stage in this disease process and this illness. So it is important to talk about what are end-of-life directives. It may be an uncomfortable topic for families, culturally, religiously, emotionally, but it is very important to discuss. And these resources allow these families to maybe get this information at home in the comfort of their own environment, to really spend time to reflect, something that may not be possible within the very white, sterile environment of a healthcare facility, room, or environment. And right here, tips for caregivers and families. As a healthcare provider, thinking of those with chronic illnesses, it's not just the patient that we need to provide resources to. It's all those in their family unit that will be impacted as well by this chronic illness. Tips for everyday care. This provides a nice, organized, bulleted list to try and help caregivers to get resources, to understand how to communicate, how to help individuals who are going to be dealing with losing independence, losing their memory, facing various cognitive, physical, and emotional changes. It is very easy to take a lot of things personally. From personal experience, the caregiver of my great aunt who was affected by Alzheimer's and related dementias became very violent with caregivers. Caregivers didn't know how to interact. They weren't professionally trained. Having these tips and these sources to deal with events and the changes that are not meant to be personal but are a part of the disease, this helps put it into black and white writing in a clear, concise manner that can be better understood. And sign up for caregiving tips from a credible source, the National Institute of Aging. Here, people can enter their email addresses to stay up to date and to feel like they're prepared to be a caregiver, and to feel that they are supported as a caregiver dealing with their family, their loved one, or an individual that they are taking care of with Alzheimer's or related dementias. This helps safety, and that is one of the major priorities as a healthcare provider, safety for the patient, safety for their caregivers. And national centers, local resources. So a lot of times people may feel alone. People may feel that this is only happening to them. It's only happening to their family. It's important that caregivers are able to take care of themselves, to understand what resources are available for them. And if I go back, taking care of yourself. So as a caregiver, providing some information, and right here, an infographic, another visual tool to help somebody. Asking for help, spending time with friends, joining a support group, taking breaks, keeping up with hobbies. So making sure that the caregiver as well understands that there are resources for them as well on this website is very important. And more resources for people with dementia and caregivers can be found. And all from credible resources, again, with links in the blue. Not all family members are able to keep their family members at home. So understanding long-term care facilities, different geographical locations that they will feel that their loved one is safe, is cared for, and that the staff or caregivers are knowledgeable on the disease process may increase comfort. Alzheimer's and related dementias. This is a good overview of just when someone's first diagnosed. What does this mean? What even is this? There are many forms of dementias. So this is a great resource, and a patient can click in on that blue tab to understand further about their illness. Causes, signs and symptoms, diagnosis and treatment. What can you do? So another great tab that's going to provide information for patients and their families. Taking action, once again, not feeling alone, and understanding that although there is a loss of control, independence, and autonomy, there are things that people are doing to try and combat this disease. And there are even right here discussions on modifiable and non-modifiable risk factors with infographics. Finding clinical trials that right here, people with dementia, people with memory problems, caregivers, at-risk individuals, healthy volunteers, anyone is able to locate and volunteer for, increasing autonomy and overall care in that patient's healthcare plan. For professionals, more information specifically for healthcare professionals. In all, this is a great website for caregivers, families, and healthcare professionals in regards to Alzheimer's and other forms of dementias.